Coming up on this edition of ATV News.
Whether you did this or not yesterday, we'll tell you the changes you'll see after the election.
The Day of the Dead is celebrating the souls.
Skulls, spirits, and treats are still around, but it's not for Halloween. We'll show you how this tradition is being celebrated all throughout the valley.
They're missed when they're gone.
After losing their own friend to suicide, we'll show you what this couple did about it.
Today is gorgeous, and tomorrow will be gorgeous. We will tell you how long it will stay this way in weather.
In sports, lots of winning over the weekend, but for two Aggie teams, that meant a spot in the playoffs.
All that and more, this is ATV News. Welcome to ATV News. I'm Emma Fates.
And I'm Yvonne Bass. County officials finished counting ballots for local elections today. For 16 cities throughout the county, the mayor's office and city council were up for election in every city. Dalton Renshaw joins us live from the newsroom to break down the results from the election.
Thanks, Yvonne.
Dalton?
Yeah, last night, Cache County voters cast more than 13,000 votes, a total voter turnout of 42%. In contrast, the 2020 presidential election had a 92% voter turnout. In Logan elections, incumbent Holly Danes defeated Dee Jones with 62% of the vote. Amy Anderson and Ernesto Lopez defeated Keegan Garrity to win 2 of the city council seats. In North Logan, Lindsay Peterson won the race for mayor with Joni Karchner and Emily Schmidt winning the council seats. Jeff Hall ran for mayor unopposed in Lewiston. John Morrison, Brooke Heyer, and Ned Simper will be joining him on the city council. In Smithfield, Chris Monson beat Jeffrey H. Barnes for the mayor seat with 58% of the vote. David Hare won re-election for mayor of Millville with Clay Wilker and Daniel Grange running unopposed for city council. And Craig Hidalgo ran unopposed for mayor, and McCall Stevenson ran unopposed for town council in Clarkston. In Minden, Edwin Buist ran unopposed to win re-election for mayor, while Michael Morgan, Jonathan Hardman, and Robert Jepson won election for city council. In Trenton, the incumbent Lynn Payne won re-election, and Courtney Andrew and Kyle Kingston won seats on the city council. In Providence, Kathleen Alder is the new mayor and ran unopposed. The race for city council is still too close to call, but Christina Eck has secured one of the seats. The final seat is between Jeff Carlos Nebeker and Janelle Esneely. David P. Wooden won re-election for mayor in Amalga with Paul Hansen and Lance Gates running unopposed for city council. In Paradise, Vic Little won re-election for mayor, and Michael M. Burns and Devin Thomas won city council for city council seats. Paul Erickson is the new mayor of Richmond with Lyle R. Bear and Amber Irving joining him on the city council. These 3 cities use ranked choice ballots. They are among the first cities in Utah ever to use this style of ballot. In River Heights, though, Jason Thompson ran unopposed for mayor, but J.H. Matthews and Tyson Glover won city council seats. In Nibley, Larry Jacobson beat out 2 opponents for mayor, and Kathleen Abus won, and Norman Larson won seats for the city council. Mike Benson beat the incumbent mayor of Newton, and Brett Peterson and Jake Christensen won the 2 seats in town council. In Hyde Park, Brian Cox ran unopposed to replace Charles Wheeler for mayor. Giles Osborne and Kevin Flint won seats on the city council. Wheeler, a longtime city council member, was appointed mayor when the previous mayor, Dean Flint, died earlier this year. Kevin Flint, the new city council member, is her husband. Reporting live from the newsroom, Dalton Renshaw, ATV News.
Thanks, Dalton.
Other states across the country are receiving their election results, and based off past elections, they're a bit surprising. In the 2020 presidential election, New Jersey and Virginia both elected Democrats. In yesterday's governor election, parties flipped. New Jersey saw a 16% swing to the right, and Virginia, 12%. The final results are not in yet.
CDC advisors are recommending Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for children 5 to 11. The vaccination of children is expected to reduce transmission by about 8% among all age groups, prevent about 200 hospitalizations among 5 to 11-year-olds, and prevent about 66 ICU admissions. White House officials say vaccinations for children will be in full gear by next week.
With this new ruling, the Bear River Health District should have enough vaccinations soon to have half the population fully vaccinated. In our health district, 48.6% have been fully vaccinated, up 1.4% from 2 weeks ago. 54.9% of Utahns have been fully vaccinated, up 1% from 2 weeks ago.
Now for an update on the number of COVID cases in Utah. There have been nearly 23,000 new cases in the state since 2 weeks ago, with more than 20,000 active hospitalizations. There have been more than 500,000 total. In the Bear River Health District, which contains Cache, Box Elder, and Rich counties, there have been more than 1,500 cases since 2 weeks ago, with nearly 1,500 active hospitalizations. There have been more than 30,000 total. At USU, there have been 136 new cases since 2 weeks ago, with 118 active cases. There have been almost 4,000 total.
A little girl is recovering after a near-death experience in Logan Canyon. This tow truck and emergency workers were busy after the collision last Tuesday. Utah Highway Patrol says a Dodge Caravan lost control and hit the barrier on both sides of the highway before spinning into the path of a westbound Ford F-350. 2 people were injured and 1 killed. Dodge driver 29-year-old Burkell Cano from Honeyville, Utah. In a memorial service held for Cano over the weekend, family members spoke of her impact on their lives.
I see so much of Kel in all 4 of her kids, and I know that she will live on through them and through her husband, Todd. We will cherish all of our memories of Kel.
Burkell's 3-year-old daughter, who was also in the crash, is doing okay, family says.
A new outreach office brings excitement to Capsa, a center for domestic violence, sexual assault, and rape recovery. People gather after a ribbon cutting for Capsa's new building. Jill Anderson says the building came at the perfect moment for them.
We didn't realize when we started construction how much we were really going to need it, and due to COVID, we saw the numbers of requests for help skyrocket, and we really needed this space in order to increase the number of services we could provide for victims.
These are some of the rooms that they will be using to help the increasing amount of clients. Anderson says the number of calls coming to their crisis line went up 112% when people started isolating for COVID-19. She says they look forward to sharing their resources with victims and survivors when they need it most. And coming up,
I'm a little worried.
We'll show you how USU kept students safe during the Howl.
Being together is therapy.
We'll show you how one coach brought together generations of basketball players.
Coming up in weather, Team Yu Chang will have the 7-day forecast. The current temperature is 56 degrees.
Looking for these? You drive Buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back. For the first time in 2 years, the Howl is back. Ting Yu Chang shows us how this year's Halloween party looks a little different from the past.
Low music and bright light greeted a student who came to the hall this year.
Yeah, I think that it's really good this year. I mean, there's always so many people, but I wish that they let other schools come.
There's a lot of people as it is, so I'm probably inclined to say limit it to just students, like how it is now.
It's not quite as crowded, I guess, but like if you're hanging out in like the dance mosh pit, it's still pretty, you know, push and shove, elbow to elbow kind of stuff.
But what's different in this year, organizers limited the party to USU students only. Previous year, police were in effort to look after students and security monitor what was happening as got going.
As you notice, if you go into the TSC, you have to look at a camera, so we're getting facial recognitions before they even go in there.
How could be a fun Halloween activity, but what about your risk of getting COVID?
I've been vaccinated and I had COVID. I've had COVID last year, so not like terribly worried.
I'm a little worried, but I got the vaccine basically as soon as I could, so I'm not too worried.
It is a concern, but I'm kind of trying to get out of that mindset thing. I think we're safe.
Howl workers say the event was a success, and students say they hope they'll let students from other schools come next year.
Welcome to ATV Weather. I'm Ting Yu Chen. So let's take a look at the national radar over here. As we can see, most of the region in the country, there's no high chance of getting rainfall except for the Texas area and also the Seattle area. So as we can see, those two regions are covered by the heavy precipitation. And let's take a look at the Utah region. As we can see from the map over here, there's no any precipitation over here, so there's no chance of getting any rainfall in the next following week. And now let's take a look at the 7-day forecast. All right, so as we can see, most of the high temperature around this way are around 60 degrees. Until the Monday, there will be the temperature will drop to like 50 degrees, and then there will be a high chance of getting rainfall on Monday and Tuesday. Now you're all caught up on weather. Now back to you at the deck.
Thanks, Ting Yu. Skulls and spirits are common themes around this time of year, but it's not always scary and it's not always about Halloween. Fa'aititi Tuleta shows us how a Day of the Dead tradition has turned into a valley-wide celebration.
I'm in the Nora Eccles Harrison Art Museum. This ofrenda is part of the campaign Ofrendas de Cache Valley. Latino community members paired up with businesses and schools to have different ofrendas like this in different locations around the valley to celebrate El Día de los Muertos. The different locations and the different ofrendas are representative of the traditional processions that happen during the Day of the Dead. The organizers who put on this campaign say that they want others to understand that the celebration is more than just candy skulls and flowers.
This ofrenda is at White Pines Funeral Home.
The community should have the opportunity to come in and learn more about this Mexican culture and more about Day of the Dead.
Fue la idea de que más de la comunidad sepa lo que es el Día de los Muertos y más personas pongan ofrendas y nos unamos como una comunidad.
Halloween and the Day of the Dead are both celebrated at the end of October. The organizers say,
This is important to me because many students need to know what the meaning of the Day of the Dead is compared to Halloween and what the difference is between both of them.
No tiene que ver nada que ver Halloween con el Día de los Muertos. El día que celebramos, recordamos a aquellos que ya han partido, que dejas lo que les gustó, lo que les gustaba hacer.
Everything from bread to beer are on las ofrendas.
In these ofrendas, you see them as an amazing person, and they could have done so much. And with like small things they have on their ofrenda that make you remember about them.
Me ha encantado ver cuando subimos las fotos de las ofrendas que las personas preguntan, ¿qué es? ¿Cómo puedo ser parte? Qué divertido. Y luego ellos van a su casa y hacen una ofrenda.
It kind of gives everybody a different perspective on different cultures and how each culture does certain things. It gives everybody a way to respect our sugar skulls, our entire ofrenda of showing our family and being vulnerable.
This is a picture of my great-grandmother, who I'm named after. I'm going to put her photo here on the ofrenda along with all of the other photos. You can also come in and put your own photo of your own loved ones and maybe even something that reminds you of them, like their favorite food or drink. The other locations that have these ofrendas are Ridgeline High, South Cache Middle, White Pines Funeral Home, and Sabores Restaurant. These ofrendas are going to be up until November 5th. Fa'aititi Tuleta, ATV News.
The Day of the Dead is a traditional Mexican holiday that celebrates loved ones who have passed away. Tables decorated with colorful tablecloths and figurines create an altar for those deceased for for the celebration of the Day of the Dead. In the exhibit at the Nora Eccles Museum of Art, people signed their loved ones' names on a board. Organizers say this event was not just to celebrate the holiday, but also for you to learn.
For me, it is very important to share my traditions, this very important thing that we celebrate, and I think that students deserve to know.
Spicer Escalante says she's happy to see people celebrating on campus as well as all over Logan.
Playing basketball for over 50 years, one of the NBA's oldest members is stepping back from coaching. But this isn't the league you're thinking of. The Noontime Basketball Association plays at the Fieldhouse at Utah State and has been home to many different players through generations. I got to take a closer look at the life of Coach Ken Mitchell and join in his long-awaited retirement party.
This guy cannot add up a score.
The roast.
He thought maybe he held a little bit more, well, to be frank, prestige than he really did.
And the stories.
It is the only sewing project Ken has ever done in his life.
Brought on the laughter that seems to follow Coach Ken Mitchell wherever he goes.
He just has the kind of personality that kind of brings people together.
It's worse than having to hear the guys from Idaho sing the state song after they finally win a game.
Coach says all of it is good-spirited. His retirement party celebrated the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Noontime Basketball Association, where players of all generations come together.
I think we have found kind of a common bond in our affection for each other and playing ball. So that's pretty cool.
Coach can still sink shots even though his 50 years of court time has come to an end.
It is a thread in our life that is appreciated.
The league was started in 1969. For Ken, it's less about your skill and more about the memories that you make along the way.
It's not about how the guys play or we played. It's about doing it. Just playing.
The NBA combines players from all ages and all skill levels. And although Coach has never made it easy for anyone,
we've never allowed anyone to feel like they're a great player.
He says the friendships on and off the court is what this NBA is all about.
It's just a fellowship. It's probably more that than basketball.
Coach just celebrated his 85th birthday, and I don't know about you, Yvonne, but I'm not very good at basketball, so I think I would still be pretty scared to take him on.
Yeah, if you were my grandpa, I'd say my grandpa is better than you, and it would be accurate. There's no way. And coming up.
Oh, what a header off the line.
One goal decided the tournament opener for the Aggies. We'll show you that game winner coming up.
Well, I just told him I'm super excited for him, but I never doubted that we would be bowl eligible. I really didn't.
Utah State became bowl eligible with a win Saturday, but the Aggies nearly blew a 31-point lead in the process.
This safe is available for anybody who walks through that door and needs it.
This couple bought a safe to store weapons for those at risk of self-harm. We'll show you where they put it.
Sorry, I've got big ideas.
As a college student, you have big ideas to make a big difference on campus. Why not get funding for those ideas in a big way? The Blue Goes Green Grant provides funding for student sustainability projects. These projects help USU students be more environmentally responsible, live healthier, and save money. To find out more, go to usu.edu/BGG. Get funding for your Blue Goes Green idea in a big way. Blue Goes Green. Make a difference.
At times Saturday, it was a rough afternoon for Utah State football. Welcome to APTV Sports, I'm Dalton Renshaw. As you just heard, the fans definitely had some things to say about the officiating, but after the Aggies flirted with blowing another big lead, the fans had plenty to cheer about by the end of the night. The first quarter touchdowns kicked off the game. This 3-yard dive by Aurelion Noah, his second of the season. One possession later, 45 yards, Logan Bonner to Justin McGriff with the hookup. McGriff pulled in a season-high 90 yards to go along with that TD, and the crowd goes wild. Hawaii came back with a 7-play, 64-yard drive near the end of the first half with this 29-yard connection from Siobhan Cordero to Dedrick Parson. Hawaii went into the half trailing 20-10, and coming out of the half, I don't know exactly the word for what happened, but Utah State rattled off 3 third-quarter touchdowns in 8 minutes, including this 14-yard strike from Bonner to Brandon Bowling, pushing the lead to 41-10 for the Aggies. The Hawaii bounced back with their next possession with this TD from Cordero to Calvin Turner Jr., who walks into the end zone wide open, a complete miscue by the Aggie defense. When the Aggies got the ball, Hawaii's defense made them pay with this strip and scoop, which goes 60 yards. Easily does his best to close down, but as you can see on the Jumbotron, Hawaii makes it all the way to the end zone, and the lead was down to 13 points. Hawaii tried to get a bit too cute. The onside kick backfires, and have you ever seen this? Brandon Bowling takes it all the way back, 45 yards, and an Aggie touchdown. The return touchdown gave Utah State a 51-31 lead, and this strip sack by Byron Vaughns, his second sack of the game, sealed the victory for the Aggies. The Aggies improved to 4-1 in conference and are now first place in their division. With Saturday's win, Aggies became bowl eligible with 4 games remaining on the season. Quite the accomplishment when you consider Utah State was picked 5th out of 6 teams in the division in preseason polls. For first-year head coach Blake Anderson, he says this year's success hasn't come as a surprise.
Well, I just told him I'm super excited for him, but I never doubted that we would be bowl eligible. I really didn't. Watching this team work in the offseason, watching how they've progressed during fall camp, to me, I didn't know if it was going to be pretty or ugly, but we were going to find a way.
I'm going to enjoy this one for 24 hours, and we're not going to speak about a Mountain West Championship. We're going to prepare for the next game and take it one day.
Utah State's next game is on the road against New Mexico State, who is 1-7. In other football news, Ridgeline High School kicked off Region 4A playoffs Friday with a blowout of local rival Logan High. Ridgeline running back Noah White punches in the first 2 scores, both of them from 1 yard out, to go along with a team-high 135 yards on 15 carries. And it was all downhill for Logan after that, as the Grizzlies got a late consolation touchdown, but it was not easy for them. And this Jackson Olsen hookup with Caden Cox made the final score 50-7, and Ridgeline moves on to still undefeated for the season. Friday's semifinal match against Crimson Cliffs will be played at Ridgeline High School, with the winner moving on to the state final played at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Utah State soccer made its tournament debut Monday under first-year head coach Manny Martins. The 4th-seeded Aggies took on 5th-seeded Colorado State in Boise, and the margin of victory was razor thin. The Rams started out with some good chances like this one from Caroline Lucas, who drove to the edge of the box in a dangerous cross, which Walton punched clear, but the Aggies were still able to, or the Rams, were still able to get off a shot in a dangerous area. Shortly after here, Utah State tried its luck at goal. The shot's deflected but falls for Ashley Cardozo, takes a clean grip, and it goes just wide of the post. But Cardozo found her moment of magic in the 50th minute with this moonshot, which lofts just over the keeper's glove and in. A team-high 7th goal of the season for the senior from Salt Lake City. The Aggies almost lost their lead in the 80th minute, however, with this corner kick.
Walton has the ball knocked away from her. It's over the line. Is there a foul? Or is it a goal? No goal.
The goal was called off because of a foul, and Utah State was able to run out the clock and clinch a victory in the tournament opener. The Aggies continue postseason play Thursday with a match against top-seeded New Mexico in the semifinals. You're now all caught up on sports. Back to you at the desk.
More than 600 Utahns die by suicide each year. That stat comes from the Utah Suicide Prevention Coalition. As Sarah Murphy explains, a way to cut down on that might come from a local coffee shop.
safe is about 2 weeks old.
A safe filled with firearms. But it's not a gun store, it's not a police station. It's a coffee shop.
Another veteran brought me his gun, said, hold on to these for me. He's like, I'm not at that place yet, but I don't want to have them. So I came up with the idea to get a safe.
The Butters say they'll hold any weapon in the safe for those going through a mental or suicidal crisis. They say the reason they got the safe is an emotional one.
I'm sorry.
They lost their own friend to suicide.
But with him,
yes,
you would have never thought anything was wrong, you know?
I know if this would have been available at that point, he would be here today.
Yeah, for sure.
Mindy and Jamie say that every pin in this case represents a person and their story. They say these stories are why they do what they do.
This safe is available for anybody who walks through that door and needs it.
With every customer walking in, and the walls decorated with tokens of each person's life story, the Butters say they hope their shop reminds people they're loved.
So many people in this community wants to help others that there's no reason not to take advantage of it.
People love you, and it's permanent. It hurts a lot of people, and they're missed when they're gone. Sorry.
Sarah Murphy, ATV News.
The Butters say the safe isn't just for guns, but to hold any weapon you might feel is a risk.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of ATV News.
You can find this and previous editions on our Facebook page.
Have a great week, Cache Valley.
Live with a human for a while and you get to know a few things. Like, I know she does strange tricks for no treats. But the one thing I will never for the life of me know is how she gets so tiny and inside that box. Natalie, how do you get so tiny?
The surplus store. Someone's trash is about to be my treasure.
We have cords and cables here. We have bags full of towels and sheets. Do you want this fold-up mattress? Because we don't.
We got keyboards, paint cans, whatever this is, typewriters, computer monitors.
It's destiny on the line, and we want you at surplus.
Products are not guaranteed to work. All sales are final. This commercial is not endorsed by Utah State.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back. When you want to talk, I'm here.